Hello, and welcome to the live Retail Online Integration webinar, How to Boost Online Revenues with Great Customer Service, sponsored by NanoRep. I'm Joe Keenan, Managing Editor of Retail Online Integration and the host of today's event. Before we get started, let me point out a few quick tips on how to make the most of today's live webinar. First, if you have any technical difficulties, troubleshoot by clicking on the Help widget at the bottom of the console marked with a question mark, or let us know via the Q&A box. You can also use the Q&A box to submit your questions to today's panelists. We'll be addressing select questions at the end of the hour, but you can send them in at any time. Please make sure you turn off any pop-up blockers on your computer so that you can utilize all of the widgets and bells and whistles on this console. And speaking of bells and whistles, please click on the Tips for Attendees widget below to learn what all of the widgets on this console do and how you can customize your experience today. Here today to discuss how retailers can grow online sales by offering consumers the same great customer service on the web that they find in store, we have John Ernsberger, co-founder and vice president of sales and services at Stella Service, a company that produces data, ratings, and insight on the service performance of online retailers. Dave Isherwood, director of sales at Build.com, an online home improvement retailer. And Eyal Goldfarb, a member of the sales and marketing team at NanoRep, a customer service software company. So without further ado, I'd like to pass things over to John to get us started.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, and happy to be here. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to sharing a little bit more about online customer service performance and all that we do here at Stella, as well as share some data with you that you may find interesting. So I thought what would be interesting to start off with is just talk about the importance of customer service and ask the question, why is customer service, especially online, so important in today's market? And I always refer to Jeff Bezos' three-legged stool, which is the idea around how do shoppers make buying decisions on the web? How do they identify which stores to purchase from when shopping online? And we go to the three tenets of the decision-making process, and it really revolves around price, selection, and service. And if you think from a macro perspective, price is converging online. There's a lot of different stores out there that sell items at a similar price, and you can go to your favorite shopping comparison engine or your favorite search engine and identify certain products that you want to purchase at more or less the same price. Selection is becoming less of a differentiator for businesses because more and more stores are popping up and offering a similar price item at a similar price, and therefore becoming less of a differentiator. And then that leaves us with service, which is increasingly becoming more and more important in the online shopping experience, with geography, of course, out of the equation and your competition one click away. So I also think it's important to connect customer service to dollars, which I think is sometimes in this cloud and sometimes hard to do. But it affects dollars both on the downside as well as the upside. And in this particular case, we're looking at poor service. And what does that mean to your business? What we've identified through studies, and this one is specifically an American Express study, it shows that poor experiences are still rampant, greater than 20% out there. And of those poor experiences, 55% of shoppers say that they actually will abandon that purchase and that retailer, go to a competitor, or just abandon that purchase altogether, which lowers purchasing rates by 11%. And for a business that's producing daily sales of $30K, for instance, which is a $10 million business, over the course of that year, it's $1.2 million in annual revenue lost. On the flip side, consistent top-tier service creates loyal customers. We understand that better service spreads the word about your particular business and creates loyalty among your shoppers. And what we've also identified through this American Express study is that Americans are actually willing to spend 13% more with companies that they perceive providing great customer service. And if you apply the same numbers to this scenario on the upside of daily sales of $30K or a $10 million business, you're looking at estimated annual revenue opportunity of $1.4 million on the upside. So you can start to see fairly quickly how important customer service is to your business, especially with the idea of that macro level thinking as price is converging and selection is becoming less of a differentiator. You have to provide fantastic customer service to be a key player in today's online market. I also wanted to give you a quick background about what Stella Service does and how we measure service performance. Stella Service actually evaluates the customer service performance of online retailers through a massive mystery shopping process. So we're out there every day. We have an army of secret shoppers that are calling companies, that are placing emails, that are live chatting with retailers, that are ordering products, returning products, that are looking at the website itself, the features and policies, and evaluating over 200 or so metrics to understand in a truly apples-to-apples way how retailers stack up from a service perspective. We have a couple of key methodology partnerships with KPMG, who audits our evaluation process. One of our key advisors is Francis Fry of Harvard Business School, the co-chair of Harvard Business School. I would urge all of you to get her book. It's called Uncommon Service. It's fantastic. As well as Creative Good, which is a usability lab here in New York City. What we produce and the products we offer are twofold. We help consumers identify sites with fantastic customer service through the Stella Service seal, and sites that have a proven track record of fantastic customer service like Build.com, which you'll hear David here in a few minutes, have the opportunity to display a Stella Service seal on their website. It increases conversion and other KPIs for their business. On the back end, we offer a data set for businesses to tap into and understand exactly how they stack up against the market, to be able to measure and monitor not only their own service performance, but see specifically how they stack up against specific peer and competitors out there in the space. It's the first time that big retailers and small retailers have been able to see how I stack up against a named specific peer or competitor out there in the space. So a couple of the slides that are upcoming here will give you a look at that type of data. One area that is a pretty common theme throughout this presentation is the product page. And the way we think about the shopping process is obviously in phases, and we look at key decision-making points throughout the shopping experience. And the product page is, of course, critical to provide deeper, richer information about that particular product to your shopper, to potentially engage with that shopper to answer any questions, which NanoRep, of course, helps with, and is critical in capturing their attention. What's interesting about the product page is that shoppers will have questions about that particular product, and what we're looking at here is phone total time to live agent. So the next 3 slides, I'm actually going to walk you through a couple of time metrics that highlight speed to get to a certain customer support representative to have that question answered. In this particular case, we're looking at a couple of customer categories: mass merchant, sporting goods and apparel, and computer and electronics. Up there, you can see in sort of tiny print above the chart. And we're looking across the time period from November 1st to December 31st. Of course, this is the peak holiday period, which is becoming longer and longer with every year that passes, so including all of November. And you start to see a couple of common trends. For instance, with computer and electronics, they're answering the telephone and letting people stay on hold close to 4 minutes or so through the second half of December as the holiday approaches. While in sporting goods and mass merchants, it looks like they have staffed up more appropriately and are handling those particular interactions better, or at least getting to those shoppers more quickly. So it's interesting to start looking at the customer verticals and seeing which companies are doing well, and starting to peel back the layers of the onion to see, all right, next year, how can we better handle the volumes that are coming in, who's doing it well, who's not doing it well, and follow best practices. Also, it's very common, of course, to have the email link on your product page in case that particular shopper wants to email the company. And in this case, we're looking at the same time period, November 1st through December 31st, for just two of those verticals, mass merchant and sporting goods. And you start to see, first off, right off the bat, emails are getting back to shoppers across these verticals in a much slower fashion, and that makes sense. Phone is more immediate, and the next slide we'll go into live chat is more immediate. In this particular case, we're waiting hours to respond to the shoppers on average. You see there's naturally a bump in the data across Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which of course is a popular week for these two categories, which makes sense. And then you start to see a couple of other interesting trends along the way as well. You see the sporting goods category actually increases, spikes in a very big way after the holidays, while as mass merchants are decreasing, the speed is actually decreasing when it comes to time to respond to email. You start to think about the products that these retailers sell, and it starts to make sense when you think about the returns process. Sporting goods and apparels, or the companies that are collected in this particular vertical, actually have a higher return rate because you think about shoes, you think about clothing, you think about sporting equipment that you really have to size appropriately, and the return rate is higher, relatively speaking, for those particular merchants, with a lot of shoppers pinging those companies directly after the holidays. Mass merchant, of course, they sell some sporting goods, equipment, but a lot of other items out there, and relatively speaking, they are more prepared to handle those questions about returns, and it's actually less when you think about their entire product set. So they are dipping directly after holiday season. The final data slide I wanted to share with you all is live chat. And of course, this is a hot topic with a lot of e-retailers thinking about implementing this particular functionality to their site. I've included mass merchant, sporting good and apparel, as well as computers and electronics. And again, we're looking at total time to live agent across the same time period, November 1st through December 31st. You see, of course, a nice spike across Cyber Monday and Black Friday, which makes sense. But the computers and electronics category is getting pinged at a much higher rate. And you start to ask the question why. Folks who potentially purchase on these electronics stores and sites potentially are more engaged with live chat. They are more technologically savvy, and they're engaging. They don't necessarily want to email, they want to live chat, and therefore there's a higher volume. And in this case, this category failed to handle response time in the fashion that the sporting goods and mass merchant teams did. But it all begins to make sense when you look at it graphed out like this. Important to understand who your shoppers are and what's most important to your shoppers, and then identify which channels you can support them best through, and of course have those help options on the product page. Lastly, with the sporting goods and apparel vertical, you also see a spike with an increase in volume when it comes to returns. That theory around returning goods back to sporting goods retailers sort of shows its face here, and they too struggle to perform as well. Lastly, I'll just mention that another thing to consider when you're thinking about boosting KPIs, specifically on your product page, is credibly touting great customer service. In this particular case, with babyage.com, which is an internet retailer, top 500 company, they're actually leveraging the Stella Service seal to credibly tout their fantastic customer service. We have a case study on our site that actually shows that they were able to increase conversion by 8.6% with the inclusion of that seal. And it just goes to show you that when people understand that you're providing great customer service and providing the tools to deliver great customer service, that people are willing to engage you more, are more likely to spend more with your business. And of course, it boosts your top line revenue and hopefully your bottom line as well. So with that, here's my contact information. I'm sure we'll have that at the end as well, but I'll turn it over to Dave, and he can take the presentation over. Thanks very much.
Thank you, John. I really appreciate it. It's exciting to see that the stuff that Stella Service is looking at on a macro level is something that we at Build.com are looking at specifically for Build. Thank you all for having me. I'm eager to share some of our story, and I hope that you'll find some value in it. Again, I'm Dave Isherwood. I'm the Director of Sales at Build.com. Sales being a bit of a misnomer here because it's sales and service, but in the end we are an e-tailer. We do need to actually sell product, but our real focus is on service. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of how we do that and what we measure. So we are the second largest and fastest growing online home improvement retailer behind only Home Depot. We passed Lowe's in the last couple of years, and we're very, very proud of that. We sell more than 700,000 products. The great thing about being an e-tailer is that we do not have to stock at our facility. We have a variety of warehouses across the country and distribution centers that allows us to carry the long tail. We have everything from faucets to fixtures to chandeliers to wall sconces, heating and ventilation, generators, you name it, we've got it. Anything that you would find at a local brick and mortar home improvement store, we've got it as long as it's a finished good. Build.com is our flagship site. We do have about a dozen other niche sites at the moment that we provide for customers to allow them to shop in a way that's more comfortable. Think about it as similar to an aisle at a brick and mortar. If you walk in, there might be a plumbing aisle, there's a lighting aisle, there's a heating aisle. We've got the same thing with our niche stores. Anything we can do to provide the customer with the experience that they would like and to allow shopping as easy as possible. All right, so our customers, we are very, very fortunate in that we have over 5 million unique visitors every month. These are customers that are driven to us via Google search, through CSEs, comparative shopping engines, through word of mouth, a lot of that they end up on our site. And about 100,000 of them purchase every month. I mean, that's a pretty big number for a small company in Northern California. The key demographic that we sell to is older, affluent. They are those that own homes, they're building professionals, and they're very educated, they're wealthy, but they are not technical. So we're dealing, as an e-tailer with a group of people that are not technical, and they're buying high-touch, consumer-unfriendly products. We are selling products that traditionally were offered by professionals and that the end user did not know much about. Now they're buying it directly from us. So what that requires is a special customer service team. Our Bill.com team is front and center. They're on our websites. We hire to a specific mindset. We are looking for people that are empathetic, that are curious, that are helpful. We've got over 125 reps. We're open 7 days a week. And our motto is really take care of the customer. Do what the customer needs. Nobody calls us, as great as our team is, nobody calls us because they're bored or because they want to talk to somebody. Every customer that calls us has a specific need, whether it's a pre-sale call or it's an after-sale call. So our reps are trained to take care of them to the best of their ability. Any of you familiar with Net Promoter Score, which is how we track our performance? We have a very good score of 74.5 over the last 12 months. It's something that we really pride ourselves on, and we take very, very seriously. But every month, we have over 90,000 phone calls, and we want customers to contact us in any way they possibly can or any way they would like to. So 90,000 phone calls, 20,000 product questions submitted from a product page. So a customer will be on a page, they'll click have a question, it'll go into a database that a rep will get to when they can. 12,000 contact us page submissions, mostly those are post-sale questions, and then another 10,000 chats. As John spoke to, the phone calls are more urgent, they're more pressing, as are the chats. It's very similar to a brick and mortar where the customer walking in is front and center and the phone ringing behind them can be ignored. We don't want to ignore any customers, but the website submitted questions do tend to have less urgency. So what we found with this was that we're managing an ever-growing database of product questions. These are questions they came in for a variety of reasons. It could be a product spec. It could be something that's already on the page. It could be something about interoperability or stock availability. Anything that the customer might ask, they'd ask, and it would go into a database. We'd get repeat questions and repeat answers. We were doing the same work over and over again. We had no analytics. As hard as we tried, when we were getting 20,000 questions a month, it was very, very hard to get any good analysis out of it, and it took a very large labor investment to handle these questions. It was the equivalent of about 12 full-time employees just to answer these questions. And in the end, that ended up with a 9-hour average response time. To John's point, the customers want a very quick response, and with our calls, we're very good at that. We have a sub 45-second average wait time. Our post-sale questions we get to very quickly. These, though, were taking us too long. Customers would move on. So I began looking for a solution, and that solution that I found was NanoRep. NanoRep is Eyal will talk to in a little bit, a self-learning knowledge base that we could set up on all of our product pages. What this allowed was a customer to ask a question, and if we had answered it before, it would be presented to them immediately. So they weren't waiting for us, they weren't going somewhere else, and they weren't calling in if they didn't need to. They'd ask a question, and they'd be immediately presented with an answer. And that answer was relevant to what they asked. We automated our product FAQ cycle, automatically updated our knowledge base, reduced the labor tremendously. Our reps absolutely are in love with the NanoRep solution because they are now, rather than answering 35 to 40 customer product questions every day, they're doing anywhere from 6 to 8, and that is decreasing. So with NanoRep, we've had the full implementation in place for about 5 weeks. Already we're seeing 40% more questions from customers, but they're being answered immediately. We've reduced the number of questions answered by humans by 70%. And that's big. I mean, that allows me to hire more people to handle the phones. It allows us to do more training. It allows us to do more with the people we have, and our customers are getting much better service. It's got a very easy-to-use back end that we already have over 150 employees working in, both to answer our customers, but also to add proactive questions and answers. We can guess at what customers will ask and put questions and answers in there in advance. We can track which questions are asked and answered most often. The conversion rate of people using the NanoRep widget is almost double those that don't. So far it has been a tremendous product for us, a tremendous solution to a very real need, a very real problem that we had in getting it back to our customers in a timely manner and providing them the service that we would like. So we're glad to have it, and we look forward to continuing the growth with NanoRep. And with that, I'll pass it on to, I believe Eyal is going to speak, Eyal Goldberg of NanoRep.
Thank you very much, Dave, for sharing your NanoRep story. Surely Bill.com is one of our favorite customers, and we're very happy that you were here presenting. Hello, everyone. Roy couldn't be here, so he asked me to present on his behalf. My name is Eyal Goldfarb, and I'm a proud part of the sales and marketing team here at NanoRep. So NanoRep is a customer experience leader that improves online customer service for businesses in a variety of sectors, including, but not limited to, e-commerce, online trading, web services, and more. We currently have over 300 clients globally from a wide array of verticals and in different languages. So NanoRep supports 64 different languages and automatically provides the answer in the language the question is asked in. In 2012, our patented customer engagement solution automatically answered over 20 million questions collectively on all of our customers' websites, mobile sites, and Facebook pages. And these numbers continue to grow. For instance, this January alone, we saw over 2 million answers collectively answered. So NanoRep delivers the personal shopping experience we're all familiar with in brick-and-mortar stores to online businesses. It does this by providing a complete customer service solution that is based on the notion that each customer should receive personal care from a shopping assistant. NanoRep offers online users a self-service tool where they can ask whatever they want, whenever they wish, on any page, and receive an instant, accurate answer tailored to them. It also knows to provide specific answers per product and generates FAQ lists for each product automatically. So it's reflective of what customers want to know on an ongoing basis. NanoRep uses a patented NLP engine, that stands for Natural Language Processing, which learns your agent's answers and then repeats them to similar questions. So basically, it gets smarter every single day, as every question needs to be answered only once by a human being. So let's take a look at the value proposition. NanoRep has many benefits to your sales, marketing, and support initiatives. Here are the main values, which I'll delve deeper into on the following slides. So firstly, NanoRep contributes to new online sales by increasing the conversion rate by up to 20%. NanoRep further enhances customer service on your website, mobile, and Facebook, while at the same time decreasing your support costs. NanoRep positions your agents to be more focused on high-level, intelligent conversations. It doesn't replace your call center or live chat services. Rather, it makes them much more efficient. Finally, NanoRep provides advanced reporting and analytics based on your customer's behavior, which allows you to make improved business decisions to ultimately better serve your customers. So let's take a look at the first value. We believe that from a customer's point of view, there shouldn't be a separation between support, sales, and marketing. A customer should get quality service based on their questions and behavior. NanoRep can provide different answers based on a diverse criteria, such as the questions the customer is asking, if they're a new or existing customer, where on your website they're located, as well as their actual physical geographic location. Now, in addition to providing an instant, straightforward answer to their question, NanoRep can also provide relevant call for actions, such as an add to cart button, or even suggest alternate products should a certain product not be in stock, or a better product fits the customer's question. Now, this not only boosts the conversion rate, but also the average sale price. Furthermore, it's also possible to advertise promotions and coupons to all of the users, or even just those that are deemed as qualified. Our seamless integration with e-commerce platforms such as Magento enables the capacity to automatically present information like prices, discounts, availability, and more right from the store, and even provide a convenient click-to-buy button, as you see in the image, straight from the widget itself. Let's move on to the second value. NanoRep is all about providing customers with the best online experience possible. We aim at providing a healthy balance both between accessibility and usability without being intrusive. So NanoRep is offered in a variety of widgets, but is most notably available in a floating widget across the entire website, which lets your users know they can get instant help at any time without having to search for the answer or even engage in a chat or phone conversation if they don't want to. Even though users don't interact with a human, they can still use natural language with NanoRep in terms of free text, which is very convenient, and then they'll receive contextual answers that are tailored to them. So for example, NanoRep provides answers based on the product page a customer is on, so they don't need to specify the product name or serial number each time they ask a question. It's as if they're right in the store with the sales rep pointing at a product. You can also create a separate FAQ per product, as Dave mentioned, and as Bill.com has done on their product pages, to help users find the answers even more easily to the most common questions. Now, this can be done automatically and is even updated dynamically based on the user's questions in real time. And yes, in case you were wondering, you still have control as to which questions and answers you'd like to present for each product. On to the next value. NanoRep is designed to work with agents by way of email and live chat for an overall optimized customer experience. In fact, everything is centralized and accessible from one place for much greater convenience. So you have Q&A, email, and chat, all accessible, again, from one place. NanoRep filters the repetitive, low-value questions so your agents can focus only on the high-level inquiries to make more sales, but also to provide enhanced support. This is done by applying smart business processes to handle queries as fast as possible, and of course to escalate the right customers to the right agent. Furthermore, when your agents are offline, NanoRep is always there. So during non-business hours, weekends, holidays, you name it. Your customers are never neglected, and agents aren't bombarded when they return to work. Finally, NanoRep provides valuable business intelligence on your customers' behavior via an advanced analytics and reporting dashboard. This allows you to make customer service-driven decisions that eventually translate into better customer service and, of course, more revenue. The wealth of reports and charts we provide show you the trends in terms of question popularity, answer adequacy, which particular questions were escalated, and perhaps most importantly, which ones actually led to conversion. Now, as you can see, there's also a descriptive conversion funnel to assess how NanoRep consistently generates more conversion as compared to the general traffic on your website. In closing, as we've seen, NanoRep is a comprehensive customer experience solution that improves online customer service, it boosts conversion, provides valuable reporting, and it does all of that while simultaneously reducing support costs. I want to thank you guys for listening to our presentation. To find out more information, we encourage you to visit our website at www.nanorep.com. For a personalized online demo, please contact us at sales@nanorep.com. I'll pass it back to Joe for Q&A.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Eyal. As Eyal mentioned, we have some time here for some questions from the audience. Just want to remind everyone you can submit your questions to today's panelists by using that Q&A box on your console. So the first question I have here is, what are the ideal response times for email and chat customer service questions from shoppers? Anyone can jump in on that one.
I can jump in here. This is John Ernsberger from Stella. And I'm sure Dave has a lot of knowledge around this. I mean, we see, specifically for email, I mean, we see response rates all over the place. I think for the top 25 internet retailers across November and December, I want to say it was around 22 hours was the average, believe it or not. I mean, I would say, and Dave, I'm not sure what your policy is, but most retailers are trying to get back to you within 24 hours for email, and they'll calibrate that differently throughout the year depending on volume and whatnot. I think email is very interesting in that you know, volume is pretty consistent, but we're obviously seeing other channels taking on much more volume. And the expectation, I think, is that email volume will decrease over time with live chat, you know, social media outlets being a more quick, you know, more responsive type of approach for shoppers. For live chat, I think it's just north of what phone is. It's a few minutes. But again, our results are sort of all over the map. I think it was 4 or 5 minutes across the largest businesses over the holiday season. But I think shoppers expect, their expectations are more closely aligned, of course, with phone when they engage over live chat. David, I'm not sure if you agree or disagree, but.
Well, I agree to the most part. I mean, with emails, our goal is for business hours. We're much more successful at that at the end of a week. On Monday, I mean, we are open 7 days a week, but we have shortened hours on Saturday and Sunday, which means every Monday we come into a pretty decent backlog. Monday is also the day that everybody decides to call. So our goal is a 4-hour average response time. We do a fair job at that, but it's very much, you know, at the end of the week we're answering people within 10, 15 minutes. Our biggest concern is if we don't get back to them quickly, they will move on. There are so many choices out there, no matter what it is that you sell online, that if you do not provide an above and beyond customer service experience, customers will move on. With chat, it's interesting, John, again, I'd like to talk more about some of the numbers. We actually require our chat reps to answer within 7 seconds from when a chat is first presented. Again, they can handle 4 to 6 chats at a time. There's no reason that they can't give the customer a very quick welcome and begin to working on their problem. So that's our focus. We may be overstaffed on chat, but again, we're trying to do everything we can to keep the customer happy, get them what they need as quickly as possible, and as completely as possible.
Mm-hmm. Great. Next question I have in here is, and this one, Eyal, might be for you or maybe even for you, Dave, as well. Is NanoRep just for product questions only? The attendee wants to know, what about general questions, something like, you know, what time is your call center open if they want to speak to someone? Your guys' thoughts on that question?
Eyal here. Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. It's perfect for both. It's perfect for generic questions like as you mentioned, what time is your call center open, or you know, where can I open an account, or what's the shipping like, and it's also ideal for product questions. It could be used for pretty much anything, and I'm sure Dave can elaborate on that.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be used for both. It is so. The specific questions, it's ideal because it keeps our reps from having to answer something twice. In the general, they never have to answer. So what we've done, and we're still working on, you know, again, it's been a fantastic implementation, is to add all of those proactive questions. What is your return policy? What do I do if I don't like what I bought? What happens if it's damaged in transit? All of those things that it used to require a human to answer over and over and over. We have now via NanoRep, if the customer asks a question, they'll get the answer.
Okay.
In fact, the technology is smart enough to realize when it should provide a contextual answer, in terms of, in other words, a specific answer to a product, for instance, versus an answer to a generic question like again, what time is your call center open?
Okay. Next question I have here, and this one is for you, John. Have you found that shoppers that receive response by email after 24 hours, that 24-hour window, are they less likely then to return to the e-tailer to continue their shopping?
Yeah, great question and a tough one. I think, if you go out and survey customers, they're always going to say, we want an email faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. The reality of it is that every store caters to a different type of customer. And for every store, yes, of course, we see a high correlation of abandoned purchases the longer you get out from that original scent date. It's interesting to hear Dave talk about within that particular business day, because we really think about emails sort of best-in-class companies that are responding to emails well within a business day. And by that I mean 7 or 8 hours or so. And there's some companies out there that are doing it close to an hour or under an hour, which is pretty incredible as well. But yes, the longer you go out, that correlation is higher. But you really have to test that. That's one of the things we work with our clients on pretty hard. Is the only way to understand that is around is doing tests and seeing your shoppers behave in the wild. Again, asking them through a survey is just not gonna give you the results you want. You have to watch them. So if you get back to shoppers, 100 of your shoppers within 5 hours, how does that change their repeat purchase or future purchase habits versus shoppers 10 hours versus shopper 15, 20, 25, and keep on going and have a big data set. That's the way you identify, all right, this is sort of our sweet spot as a retailer, where we can sort of get away with getting back to customers in this time period. So a long-winded answer of saying there's no right answer. You really have to go out and test it with your shoppers. So
great. I have a question here for you, Dave. Question the attendee wants to know, you talked about the NanoRep service improving your utilization, but they also want to know, has it reduced your customer service overhead costs?
Absolutely. We right now, my guess is about 3 full-time equivalents, but we have not implemented as fully as we could. Ayal has talked about the floating widget. We're testing that on our Canadian site, and so far the returns are fantastic. We started it with it just on the product page because we knew we had a major issue keeping up with those questions, and those are usually pre-purchase questions, and we definitely want to get back to people quickly. So right now, 3 FTEs. My hope at some point, well, this will be 6 or 8, and that's maybe even somewhat pessimistic. It may even be more than that.
Next question here, and this one looks like it could be for you as well, Dave. How does your company handle live chat in off hours? Is that managed 24/7, and if it's not, is it clear to the customer that there's downtime?
Yeah, well, what we do with our chat, we only show the button when we have agents available. It's an interesting implementation in that if there are no agents available for whatever reason, the button simply disappears, and people are encouraged to call. Chat, when we are not doing a few things with chat that I would like to, that we're working towards. I'd like to be doing some more proactive chats, although there's, I think, the data is mixed on that, whether customers actually respond well or not. But right now, our chat hours is the same as our phone hours if there are agents available. If they're not, the button simply disappears.
Okay. This one looks like it could be for any of you, the panelists here. The attendee says that they're familiar with Net Promoter Score. They're curious if there are any other methods that have been successful in measuring the health of the customer experience.
Yeah, I mean, I can take that one. That's sort of a softball for me and for our company and what we do. We evaluate the customer service performance of online retailers, every retailer out there, through NPS, as you all know, is coming from your shoppers' feedback that is coming through surveys of your shoppers. And you know, it's obviously extremely beneficial to a lot of businesses out there, most every business. But there are some flaws in it, in that there's usually a low percentage of shoppers that are providing feedback. And Stella Services' approach is actually, we go out and through primary research, we evaluate the entire service delivery chain through shopping ourselves. We have a team of mystery shoppers that go out. They're actually Stella Service employees that order products, return it, call a company email, live chat, gather all this data, and highlight, you know, companies like Build.com that are providing elite customer service for consumers, and then for businesses, we allow them to go in and take a deep dive into the analytics that we collect of their own business, as well as how they stack up against specific peers and competitors out there in the marketplace. Because, as you know, expectations around service experience are derived and are built up when shoppers go out to Amazon and they experience the type of service that they deliver. And it's just not on online retail. It's when they go to a hotel, or they're working with their bank or financial services provider. Those expectations carry over, and it's a relative game. So the bar is always being raised for retailers.
And John, that's a great point. As we train our reps and really get them to buy into the idea of sales through service and simply taking care of the customer, they will come back with stories about their local bank or restaurant or whatever service organization they're working with, complaining about the quality of service. So this isn't just detail, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Next one we have here, and this one looks like it might be best for you, Eyal. One of the attendees says if they're already using a system for customer service, and they give the example of Desk.com, is integration with NanoRep possible or relevant?
Great question. Actually, NanoRep can integrate with any third-party ticketing system or CRM. So even though we have an in-house ticketing system ourselves, which is very robust, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. And of course, we can integrate with any other company, as you mentioned, Desk.com. So that's no problem.
Okay. Next question here, another one for you, Eyal. Does NanoRep provide troubleshooting for customers that are having issues with products that they've already purchased?
Can you actually rephrase that?
So if a customer came back to a retailer site, they've already bought a product on the site, does NanoRep provide any troubleshooting, or is the service applicable for that type of shopper that may be returning with a customer service question?
Absolutely, yeah. It applies to both a new customer that comes in and buys, and just as well as for a customer that's already purchased that's having problems or issues following the purchase. Absolutely. The type of question is irrelevant. Again, it could be as generic and as specific. It can be pre-purchase or post-purchase. You know, NanoRep can offer the service just the same.
Okay. Dave, I think this one would be best for you. How does employee workflow play into level of service? They follow that up by, are agents focused on one kind of contact at one time, or do they split between various? You know, they give the example of answering live chat while also being on the phone.
Yeah. We have it very mixed. Other than live chat and phone, we found that does not work well. Our live chat agents answer only live chat, as well as anything submitted via NanoRep or our Contact Us page. Our phone reps do multitask. They're often either on hold with the customer, on hold with the vendor, so they will work on answering a NanoRep ticket while they are on the phone. We do, you know, some of them will block out time during the day to work on one. It really depends on the call volume. You know, our volume is fairly predictable, but at the same time it can spike. So the workflow is whichever is at the highest level at the moment is what they're focusing on.
Okay. And then here's another one for you, Dave. Have you found that you're seeing a higher percentage of repeat customers due to the improved experience that shoppers are having on Build.com?
I wish I could answer that. Again, we're 5 weeks into a full implementation. We tested this for about 3 months. It looked great. It's too early to tell, but that's going to be something very interesting to look at to see what impact this has. My gut will be we'll have a lot fewer unhappy customers, which means we will see more repeat business.
Okay. A couple here for you, Eyal. One is the NanoRep service mobile friendly, and then kind of to go with that, does it support SMS?
Absolutely, yeah. It is mobile friendly. You can, for instance, you can go on Build.com on your cell phone and check it out. It offers the same functionality on the site itself as on mobile and tablets as well. And sorry, what was the second question?
Just SMS, is it mobile friendly? And then on second part of that question, SMS, and does it support that?
It doesn't support SMS. However, if you integrate it with a ticketing system, for instance, that has SMS functionality built in, then it could sort of send an alert to the SMS. So it's kind of it's a no, but also it's a yes if you do already use something that can link to an SMS.
Okay. This question here is, who owns the data and the IP created through an engagement, through a customer service question?
Sorry, can you repeat
that? I'll answer that. I believe we do. We actually do, for SEO purposes, do an export from the entire knowledge base every week to update our product pages. So we're providing the question not only within the NanoRep box, but also on the page to make sure we're serving up the information any way the customer would like.
Okay. And then here's a question, John, this might be a good one for you. Have you found any trends as far as shoppers on mobile devices? Are they more likely to look for customer service help via live chat? Are they more likely to call into a call center? And have you found those behaviors to be different than PC-based shoppers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think mobile shoppers are more self-serving in that they're less likely to reach out to call the company or email the company unless they're having technical difficulties or something like that. We're seeing more, of course, the majority of the activity into call centers and contact centers are coming through folks on desktop. Tablets is probably somewhere in the middle, but when you're thinking about the phone, it's about efficiency, it's about getting through an order quickly. And if you can't do that, it's sort of back in your pocket and you're going to wait until you get back to your desk. Slowly, we're starting to see, though, more mobile sites with a telephone number at the bottom with ways to contact that company. So I imagine we'll see that increase. David, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that, or you've seen those trends as well.
No, I think it's a fantastic question, and we do not have a mobile solution for chat today. So I just added that to my list of things to take a look at. Our traffic is moving very quickly towards mobile and tablet, with tablet being the lion's share of the non-PC. It's really hard to get an idea of the look of a jetted tub from your phone, but definitely things are moving towards the tablet. So that's something I need to take offline and look into.
Okay.
So thank you, whoever asked that question.
Okay. Eyal, here's one for you. You talked about the fact that the NanoRep solution is available in multiple languages. Is the user interface for agents also available in multiple languages?
It can be, yeah. Currently, it's only available in English, but that's something we're working on to customize it to any language pretty much on the back end. So yeah, so that's no problem. All
right. And then here's another one I have in. Any of the three of you can jump in on this one. If you were going to kind of pinpoint some of the primary metrics that online retailers need to be tracking to measure the effectiveness of their customer service, what would you say those would be?
I'm happy to jump in here. I think honestly, the customer service is a rocket science, but it really boils down to, and it depends what type of process you're talking about. It's important to differentiate between the technology, which is your website, from the fulfillment, delivery, and the returns process, as well as customer support in the traditional sense, phone, email, and I'd throw live chat in there as well as social media. I mean, that's sort of a separate bucket unto itself. So, for traditional customer support, it's about, really getting back to folks quickly and with a quality response. It's really speed and quality. So I think it's important to have a rubric in place and track how quickly you're getting back to people, what percentage of your emails you're actually responding to. A lot of emails, as we've come to understand, are slipping through the cracks in some very large retailers, which is in some cases shocking. And then how are your CSRs, performing over the telephone when it comes to their professionalism, their demeanor, their confidence in responding to certain topics. And, that sort of high level, there's probably, we measure about 20 to 25 metrics on every single call that we place. And that's different from the email, different from the live chat. So there's not one right answer. Dave would probably have a lot to say about that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting, John. I'm thinking about that. We've got a few different goals here. Number one, make sure the customer, when they're finished with their call, is satisfied. But if you even back up before that, we don't want the customer to call if they don't need to. If a customer has to call us, in some ways we failed, either not providing the information on the website in the appropriate manner, or something in our process broke if it's post-sale. So, we want to be here for when the customers need us, but we need to eliminate those things that require us to be here. I'll use Amazon as an example. I mean, they are who we look up to in terms of execution, and their operational processes are phenomenal. That's who we aspire to be, but we're going to be here if they have questions, if they need us. So we look at NPS, we look at repeat buyer rate, we look at web conversion rate, where they didn't contact us and they simply buy. They're different departments, and we have whole departments that look at specific key metrics and try to change them. So I couldn't give you, 1, 2, or 3, other than NPS seems to be today, because these are customers that did actually buy, that are taking the time to tell us what they liked or what they didn't like. And we actually follow up with everyone that gives us a negative response, and a negative response is anything from 6 down. We contact them for detail, and we do a deep dive every month to figure out where we can get better. So I wish there was just 1, 2, or 3, but we actually look at probably 14 or 15 every month.
Great. Well, it looks like we're just about out of time for today's webinar. I want to take this opportunity to thank John Ernsberger of Stella Service, Dave Isherwood of Build.com, and Eyal Goldfarb of NanoRep, and also on behalf of Retail Online Integration and NanoRep, the sponsor of today's webinar, I want to thank you, the audience, for attending. Make sure to check out our webinar page to get information on all of our archived and upcoming webinars. Lastly, if you would take just a minute to fill out the brief feedback survey that will appear on your screen next, we'd be very grateful. Your feedback will influence the webinars we bring to you in the future. I hope to see you at the next Retail Online Integration webinar. Have a great afternoon, everyone.